Good morning and welcome to the Hive for today's sneak peek at Easter 2024. And that's not even all the excitement that we have on tap for you today. We have exciting news to share. Um, I want to kick things off by introducing our newest member of the team, Kim Hudson. Welcome, Kim.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Super excited to be a part of the team.
We are so excited to have you. Kim is our children and youth ministry manager. She joins us with more than 20 years of experience in leading children's ministry programs, both as a volunteer and also as a staff person. She's worked at small, medium, and large size churches. So truly, whatever your situation, Kim has walked in your shoes. So she can understand anything that you're facing. She's a certified coach with International Network of Children's Ministry. And if you attended CPC last week, you may have attended one of her breakout sessions or seen her at the CTA booth or gotten a chance to grab a slot in one of her coaching sessions. We are so excited to have Kim join us, and I know you will be too. Joining Kim today is Jane Robinson. Jane is our Director of Product Development and Marketing. As you know, this year, Easter will be March 31st, so it's early. And that means that planning needs to kick off soon. And we are here to help you. Jane and Kim are going to walk us through our new Easter resources. If you have any questions during the reveal, just go ahead and put those in the chat and we will scoop them all up and answer them once they're finished going through all of the products. So we'll grab them all at the end. Thank you for joining us and let's get started.
Well, thank you, Jane. Kim, I think what I'm going to do is share my screen so that people can see the website as we're talking today. And then you can talk about the various things that are there. So just give me a minute here to make it look all right. Can you see my screen fine?
We can see it, yes. I can see it. I guess the rest of you can too?
Great.
Yeah.
All right. So I'd invite all of you, when you come to our website, to click on Children's Ministry. And then as you scroll down, you will see Children's Lent and Children's Easter. I think we're going to start talking about Lent this morning. And so I'll click on those and we can cover a few of those things and then we'll go to Children's Easter. So Kim, now that I'm sharing my screen, I can't see you. So just jump in whenever you want and go ahead and talk about these things.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jane. And thank you, Jane. Thank you to the CTA staff and team. I'm thrilled to get to serve alongside of you. And I can't wait to get to know all of you in the Hive as we spend time together each month, getting to know each other, getting to know how we can support you best, and find out which resources help you to serve you to lead kids to fall in love with Jesus. As Jane said, I have served vocationally and as a volunteer in many aspects of kids ministry. So while I don't feel like I'm an expert, I feel like I'm still running alongside of you. I'm just in a whole different capacity and a different role. And I just want to be able to support you and make sure you have what you need as you lead children. So first, we want to just talk about Lent a little bit. I think all of us here know what that is. However, as a children's ministry leader, I was not exposed to Lent as a child or even as an adult. So for me, as a children's ministry leader, that's when I really began to understand Lent. Last week at CPC, we talked about being authentic. So I'm going to be very authentic and tell you I cannot pronounce the Latin word for Lent. But the reason that we talk about Lent and the way we do is it's the 40 days leading up to Easter. So the root word is a Latin word that I can't pronounce, but it literally means 40. So that's why we talk about the 40 days leading up to Lent. It's a reminder of the time that Jesus spent 40 days in the desert, the 40 days that he was being tempted, the 40 days and nights that he was fasting and being tempted. And it reminds us that we should fast from food specifically. Leading up to Easter, it's a time that it makes us spiritually dependent on Jesus and the Father and helps us to understand the desperation that Jesus was walking through. So it's not often that we would fast from like social media or those types of things, that would be more of a set those things aside and focus on Jesus. When we fast from food, it really does help us to remember that when we are hungry, when we're thirsty, that we look to Jesus because he is the bread of life. So that being said, let's move on to resources that you may want to use with your kids in your ministry and also help them at home to lead up to Easter. I love the count up to Easter activity calendar. Instead of a countdown, it's a count up, and I really love how that's worded. So we do have one here on the screen, and I've got one here with myself too. And what I love about this is it allows the kids to physically scratch something off each day along with their parents. We would suggest that you would have one of these for each child to go home with them, and then also to have one in the classroom for those children who might walk into your room on a Sunday morning who don't have this at home yet. Order extras because you're going to need those for visitors and kids that may not normally get to come to church. But during Palm Sunday, during Lent, leading up to Easter, we all find that we have more children that show up to our ministries, and we're really excited to bring them alongside. This is just a great tool for parents and kids to use as they talk about what it looks like to lead up to Easter, what Lent really means. And we've already scratched off the 19th, and it just says, write a note to a homebound person at your church. But I'm going to go ahead and scratch off Ash Wednesday. I don't know if you can see what it says on the one online.
On the screen, it's kind of hard to see. Oh, you know what? I can make it bigger here too.
Okay. What I really love about Ash Wednesday is it happens to fall this year on Valentine's Day. So I feel like even if your denomination is not a traditional denomination that would observe Lent and offer the ashes at your church, what this allows is a lot of families would attend a Wednesday night church service, a Wednesday, what we would call midweek service. So this would be a great opportunity to talk about Ash Wednesday at church and then send this home with your kids. And it's also a great opportunity to talk about the love of Jesus since it happens to fall on Valentine's Day. It's really unique that it happens this year. So this is a great resource to have. And then on the back, it also has the resurrection rolls recipe. And I know you guys can't see this, but this is super thick paper. This is not just a thin sheet that you've actually printed out. It's super thick. It'll last the whole time. And then on the back, it has the resurrection rolls. I would even suggest when they're finished scratching all of these off, what would it look like to use this as a placemat, as a reminder of the 40 days of activities and the 40 days that they've led up to Easter. You could use this over and over, I feel like, for an entire Easter season. And Jane, I'm sorry, I think you were going to share something too.
I was just going to talk about, speaking of sending home, that we have this free downloadable, like down in the description of the product here. First of all, there's a video that will show it, but there's usually a link. I'm missing it.
I think it was right above.
There. Sorry. Yes. So you'll get. I just show these alt images to save us time.
Yeah.
But these devotions are printable. They'll come. You'll get it in your email when you order this product. And there's one for you to use at church for each week of the 6 weeks before Easter. And then there's also a version where you can send a half sheet at home, for each week, and the parents will know what you talked about and then have a little bit additional conversation or even activity to do at home.
Yeah. And I love that we can send those home. And I'm sure most of you send things home from your classrooms. But I don't know, because I haven't got to visit your churches, I don't know if you have a parent resource wall. But if you do have a parent resource wall, we would suggest putting these on the resource wall as well as sending them home with children. I know I've had parents come to me and say, we just didn't make it home with that paper. Where else could I find it? And if we have it on our resource wall, it would encourage parents to pick those up for themselves. What I've also found about parent resource wall is it actually encourages other people in the church to grab those resources and take them home. So if they have grandchildren, nieces or nephews, family friends who normally don't get to attend church with them, but they would like to do activities at home, it allows them to grab those activities and take them home and continue to talk about Jesus in a way that those kids might not get because they don't get to come to church. I hope that made sense what I was trying to communicate. It's just a great way to involve your entire church in what's going on in the kids' hall.
Yeah, it's a great point, Kim. I'm just going to talk about the other two here, and then we can skip ahead to Children's Easter. This one that has been around for a while, it's a family-lent activity box where there are 6 pieces, one for each week. And again, there's the set of devotions that you can print and use. And then newly out this year is the Shepherd the Lamb activity book. So if the Scratch and Reveal feels a little bit young for some of your students, these activities are designed for ages 7 to 11. So you could use this activity book for the older kids in your church.
And I would recommend having these also on your parent resource wall for parents to grab to take home. The boxes, come flat so that you can store those on the activity wall or the resource wall. What I love about this is they're not colored. The kids can use their imagination and color them themselves.
The Children's Ministry Easter gifts, when you get to that page, you're going to get everything that we have for Children's Ministry. Our newest line this year is Sing and Shout, Jesus Lives. So for today, I'm just going to click that filter over here so that we can be limited to the things that we talk about here. Yeah. But yeah, I think we'll do that. And you can go ahead and I will, if you pick up something that's not showing on the screen, Kim, I'll get us to it. Don't worry about it. Okay,
that sounds great. Okay, so like Jane said, there's a completely downloadable for you so you can make your event. Just fill in the blanks. What I love is that CTA has provided all you need for your event, whether that is a Sunday morning event, whether that's an egg hunt, whether it's just a celebration of Easter. All the resource pack is completely downloadable. And it gives you every little detail, even your social media, like how to word your social media, how to promote on your social media. The event guide is beautifully colored. I love that. It's super fun. And it tells you exactly what to do when kids arrive. You guys will want to use this in your ministries. Then all the activity books that come with it. Is that where we're at now? Maybe sure. on the activity books, they're all different ages. So no matter your age or stage, we have a soft cover book. And inside of it, it tells the grown-up how to use the book, which is super nice for those grown-ups, especially for grown-ups who maybe are not used to discipling their kids at home. Statistics have shown recently, I think with Barna Group did a statistic and it said 90% of parents believe it's the CML's job to disciple the children. 40% of CMLs believe it's our job to disciple the children. So there's a big gap there. So how do we equip parents to disciple their kids at home, to talk about Jesus at home? So what I love about this resource is it tells parents right here, maybe they're a brand new Christian, maybe they've never walked with Jesus until they were adults and had children. Maybe they just didn't grow up in a home where they were taught how to disciple their own kids. So this book is great because it tells parents how to use this resource and how to walk their kids to Jesus, which I think is super helpful. And then the Sing and Shout Jesus Live activity book is for those youngers or for the olders, like 7 to 11. Again, super great activities that reinforce what they're learning at home, what they're learning at church. And it's not in full color, which I love because they get to color it for themselves. And then there's also the activity book for the younger kids.
Oh, sorry.
These could even be used in a service.
7 to 11.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, that was this one. And then this is the one for little ones. And this is the one for ages 3 to 6. And maybe your church is deciding to have, maybe the kids are going to be in big church with their adults on Easter, or maybe Palm Sunday. Maybe there's going to be a special service for Easter. And you're wondering, those little kids, what you could provide for them to use in the service. So not only would this be great to send home with kids, this would be great to have at church to give to kids to use in big church, along with some crayons or a pencil or something like that. There's a lot of ways that you could use these little booklets. It would be a great gift to have on hand for those first-time guests. We know that Easter is one of the most highly attended weekends of all churches. So it would be great to have these on hand to give to those first-time guests and make them feel extra welcome if you provide a gift for your first-time guest. And then I think we're going to go to our cross activity.
So before I leave this page, I know it.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Can you talk about the maracas and then?
Yes, thank you for reminding me. They're loud. I love them. I think they were shaking in my luggage on the way home from CPC because I brought these products home from CPC. What I love about these is if you ever have any worship time in your classrooms, and I hope that you are, I used to get like a bag of instruments and pass out to the kids so they really felt like they were engaged in worship. It wasn't like I'm just watching a video, but we actually engaged children in worship. And I think that's super important, even from those really young ages. So the great thing about these little maracas is they come with a sheet that tell you exactly how to use them. You don't have to figure it out. Maybe you're like me and music is not your strength, but you know the importance of leading kids into worship. This tells you exactly what to say. It tells you like for instance, this one says that you are supposed to do it. And when it tells you when to shake the maraca, there's like a little red X. That's when they shake the maraca. And it gives you the exact words to say. You don't have to come up with it on your own. And these also would be a great thing to send home after church with that child and to let them encourage mom and dad to worship in the home, especially as they're reading through some of these booklets and it says to sing and shout. And then they could use their maracas to help sing and shout. And also, what if they're walking through church, headed to the car and other people are seeing their maracas? They're going to be wondering what's going on in the kids' hall. What did they learn this morning? It's a great way for people to stop and ask what happened at church and for kids to get to share that they were able to sing and shout about Jesus that morning.
Yeah, and I just want to add that since you talk about using it with the book, we do have an event pack where you can get a set of 12 maracas, 12 books, and 12 goodie bags, which if you buy 3 sets of 12, which would be for 36 kids, is as low as $19.99 for a set. So it makes a great price for a really fun activity and a meaningful send home.
Yeah, a great send home for sure.
Now I know you're looking for the foam cross.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me that's in our run and tell line, so I'm just going to switch to that. Well, hang on one second here. Not wanting to show me everything. Let me refresh. Sorry for the delay.
Go ahead. That's okay.
You can go ahead and talk, and I will get us there. How's that?
Okay, that's fine. So what I love about the run and tell cross, when I saw this one, I was like, oh, wow, I would love to have had this many, many times. It comes, obviously, as you can see, unassembled. It has a name sticker. We all know how important that is. Like, get those names on there first. So it has a name sticker. You could put it on top. I elected to put it on the bottom to get those kids to write their names or get the grown-ups to help with a Sharpie pen to write their names. And I was just brainstorming with them at CPC, like, how could we use this in a classroom setting? What would it look like for this to be your craft? And as you're telling the Easter story, you are physically putting the stickers on and the kids are following along with you. So instead of setting an expectation of already having it completely assembled before they walk in and having that as their craft and telling them, I would like for you to make your cross look like mine. What would it look like instead to just have the cross and the base assembled, maybe the flowers stuck on. And then as you're telling the Easter story, you're having your story time with your craft time, and the children are then sticking their stickers on together. So that's one way that you could use this. Another way that you could use this would to be put one sticker on and send this whole kit home with your kids, including the stickers, and ask moms and dads moms and dads, grown-ups, whoever they live with, to complete that through the 40 days of Lent in whatever way would be better for them. Also, what would it look like? And this might not work for a lot of churches. I know I've served in a church where I saw the same kids every single Sunday without fail. But also we know that studies have shown us that kids get to come to church about once a month these days. So this might not work in your church setting. It would if you get the same kids every Sunday. So what could this look like to have this in the classroom? And then each Sunday as the child came in, you interacted with them and you helped them to put the sticker on. So there's a wide variety of ways that this can be used. But what I love about it is it's just bright and cheerful. It looks like spring. It looks like love. The little lamb is such a sweet lamb. It just reminds us how Jesus is like a lamb and he's soft and he's comfortable and he wants to hug the kids, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of ways that you could use this item in your ministry to further teach kids about Easter.
Okay. Do you want to talk yet about the gospel Easter eggs?
Yes, we can absolutely do that. I only made it home with one. We had a sweet little boy that came by the booth and he was talking to us as we were breaking down. So we gave him the little orange one to take home. So I don't have the orange one to show you in person, but I do have the blue one. And most of us do an egg hunt or some sort of an egg activity in the spring, whether that's way early in the month or if it's Palm Sunday. What these could definitely be used for, I don't know about you, but usually when I had an egg hunt, we would have what we would call a special egg. And I might have to purchase that somewhere and it would look different than all the other eggs that we would hide. And if a child found that particular egg, they could come to us and they would get a great big Easter basket that had been donated by someone in our church full of goodies for that child. And they were always age appropriate toys. So what would it look like instead of buying those special eggs that we actually use these eggs, because these eggs are definitely different. They're definitely more brightly colored. They have the Easter story on them. And the orange one here, as you can see, comes with the, it's a cross like slinky, but the blue one actually has like the little, upside down. It actually has the gospel themed puzzle. So it would be like a double prize. You could also just hide these randomly, buy them in bulk and hide those randomly at your egg hunt. They might not be redeemable for a special basket, but these could definitely be a special surprise when they go to open those eggs. They don't just get candy and they don't just get erasers or whatever people stuff, but they actually get the gospel story. Another idea that we had yesterday when Jane and I were brainstorming is, what would it look like to have a basket full of these at your welcome center? So when you have a first-time guest, whether it be Palm Sunday, whether it be Easter Sunday, and it's that child's very first time to come to your church, you gift them an egg. They get to understand that Jesus loves them so much, that he was so excited they came to church, that you were prepared to give them a special gift. And you could even add a sticker for your church's logo, your children's ministry logo, something like that, so that they would remember forever where that egg came from. And I'm gonna get a drink. Sorry, my throat is dry. So that's another way that you could use the eggs.
Okay, we did not talk about what we have for the little ones in the board books. Yes, and I'm not sure which, let me see. For some reason I can't get, here we go. Here we go. The first one we have here is Jesus Loves Me, This I Know. I'll let you talk about them. I'll just go through the three.
They're so fun, you guys.
Then we have red, green, yellow. Oh, sorry. I'll list the three, Kim, and then you can talk. We've got red, green, yellow 2, and then Jump for Joy. So 3 books available for ages birth to 5 at Easter time.
Again, they make great gifts, but what would it look like to have a set of these in your classrooms? We know that children, when they come into church, often want to go to the book section. Sometimes you have bean bags or like big pillows where kids can sit and read. Sometimes you have bookshelves. And if you're like me, I would change those out usually monthly, but sometimes quarterly or at least seasonally. So what would it look like to have a set of these in those lower classrooms? So when your volunteers are snuggling your little ones, they could actually read them an important story. And then again, this would be a great gift to have at your first time welcome desk when brand new families come. It just shows them that you were expecting them, that you are so excited that they are there. And again, Easter is that one time a year where people might come to church that would never come again. And what would it look like to have this book in their home and those kids fall in love with that cute little sheep on the front and beg mom and dad or grandma and grandpa to read them this book over and over. What I love about this book is it's very simple. The illustrations are beautiful, and even little hands can turn the pages. They're super durable. They're a true board book. Jump for Joy. Look at that cute little ladybug. Another thing I really like that's really intentional is paying attention to all children. We want to make sure that no matter what phase of life they're in, no matter what they look like, that they feel welcomed. This helps kids to feel seen, no matter what their skin tone is or their hair color. So I love that we really pay attention to that. And this one actually talks about the Easter egg hunt. So what could that look like to have these at your egg hunt as special prizes, as extra gifts, depending on if they want a certain basket, depending on if they're a first-time guest. And you could also actually have these out at your parent resource wall as a gift. You could actually have several out there, or you could link it to where they could purchase them themselves, depending on your budget. And it just helps kids to understand why they're jumping for joy, because Jesus has risen.
Yeah, I have two things to add to that. At CPC, one of the CMLs stopped by and told me she loves these for her quiet bags. So, and I got the impression that when the kids were leaving and turning the quiet bags in, she told the parents to take the books along home. And they were, like, wow, really? That's for me? So I think it's a great way to show parents how we value their children. The other thing, you're talking about the parent resource wall. We have a longtime CTA customer who talks about getting people in the congregation to fund things like that, because you only have so much in your children's ministry budget. And if you have enough, that's great. But if not, it doesn't mean that you can't do something like that. I know when I worked in the church, there were grandparents in the church who were happy, tell me what you need. They were happy to provide resources like that. And then, especially with something so public like the wall, if they see somebody using it, it's a really positive affirmation for them too.
Yeah, I love that. And a small church I worked at, I had no budget, and I did have an older couple that they loved to be able to bless the kids. And they honestly started giving me $100 every month and just said, spend this the way you feel is best. So don't hesitate to reach out to those people in your church that may have the resources that aren't raising children any longer. First of all, I would just suggest invite them to serve in your classroom. Maybe it's a one time. So maybe what would it look like to invite them to come into those lower ages and read a book like this to your kids? It's a one-time invite. They might not feel like they want to volunteer. And that's when that fire and that spark kind of happens with those people, like, oh, how could I bless these children? How could I come in and spend time with them? And maybe sometimes it's through financial resources, and maybe it's just like a one and done. They just read an Easter book to a kid. But that is how you create the culture of a true intergenerational ministry for your church. It's just another way to do that. And the red, yellow, green, red, green, yellow too. Look what Jesus did for you. Again, super cute, brightly colored. It's just a beautiful, beautiful book. And they follow the bird through, which is fun. Because if you have a child that's maybe a little antsy and isn't sitting, still enough to hear, have them point to the bird, have them look for the bird on each page. And every day. And at the very end, talking about how Christ died for us. It's a great book for your kids too. I love these little board books.
I know you don't have these with you, but I also wanted to mention, can you see if I'm sharing my screen? Can you still see when I hold this up to the camera?
Yes. Yes.
Tim? Okay,
yes.
Great. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. We have two Pop Fidget Cross keychains, which are fantastic for recognizing kids who maybe need to have something in their hands, and that tactile motion to just calm them down or give them something to do. But this one glows in the dark. And I think also it kind of helps give something again for the older kids. We've been talking about the really younger ones, but there are things around for those upper elementary ages.
Yeah. And what I have found, and I'm sure you have too in your ministries, is having those poppets is super helpful, especially for those first-time guests and the first-time guests who may have a special need that they need to be accommodated for. If we have those up in our front when they first come in to check in, and you notice a child might be a little antsy or a little bit nervous, like what would it look like to hand them one of those crosses and just talk about what we're going to learn about today. Now we're going to learn about Jesus, that he loves us so much, that he died on the cross. He wants to be your best friend forever. And just open that up and let them start playing with it on the way to class. It would help them to maybe calm down. Again, anytime we can gift something to a child the very first time they join us, it's going to make them feel like, wow, they knew I was coming. They were expecting me. They want me to feel welcome. They want me to feel loved. They want me to feel included. And then what would it look like to just buy some extras of those and have in what we would consider like I would always call it our fidget bins. And so, you're always looking for different fidgets throughout the year. You could go ahead and stock up on those crosses, because a cross, yes, it does symbolize Easter. and it's important, but it also symbolizes Jesus no matter what season we're in. So you could go ahead and stock up on those and add those to your busy bins, your fidget bins to have for those kids. I think they would also be great at the beginning of the school year because they kind of do have that little keychain on them to purchase those and hang those on backpacks. If you do a backpack blessing, I know we're kind of talking about Easter, but while you're buying those crosses, I'm just going to give you an idea of how to go ahead and stock up now. To put those on backpacks, if you do a backpack blessing for kids at the beginning of the school year, and hang those on their backpacks as a reminder of not only their church community, but about Jesus. And it gives them something to fidget with when they're at the school too.
Yeah, I'm going to apologize. I forgot when you were talking about the foam cross, I wanted to mention the 2 other foam activity kits we have. This one here is the Sing and Shout one, new out this year. And always our foam kits will come packaged with something, everything that the child needs in one package. So you don't have to come up with that. And then the New Day, New Life one is a resurrection scene. And the fun thing about this one is there is a little slot that you put this, it's a 3-dimensional scene. And you put the stone in first in front of the tomb when you build it. And then when you tell its resurrection story, there's a second slot. You can move the stone over and talk about Jesus rising.
Yeah, I love those. And what would it look like to have a bunch of these on hand that were still in the packages at your egg hunts or at your spring events to give as gifts as kids are leaving? You could add your church logo. You could add a little message that you put on a sticker and stick it right on a bag as just an extra gift to your kids and to your families as they're leaving your event, just as a reminder. And hey, they could do these at home. What I love about these is you don't need a ton of instruction. Anybody could make these. And another thing I love about these kind of things for the classroom is when you have a bunch of kids and a few volunteers, you don't have to have glue sticks and you don't have to have crayons. You don't have to have all the things. You don't have to have scissors. You can actually set this out with a child and a volunteer and it goes really smoothly. And it's a really quick craft for volunteers to do with their kids. And this could even be saved and used at Christmas, as an ornament. They could hang on to it. They could hang it in their room throughout the year, and then when Christmas time comes, they could add it to their Christmas tree or in their own bedroom if they have their own Christmas tree. So it's not just an Easter product; it's something that could be used year round. Yeah.
Thanks, Kim. Is there anything I missed that you were planning to feature?
I think we were just going to talk a minute about the cones. I was really grateful this made it home in my suitcase because I brought it home from CPC. I didn't know if it would survive. I would think this would be more, of course, a small child could use it, but this is what I was thinking more for those older kids. And I'm not the kind of leader that ever cared if kid made a lot of noise. So it might not be what you would prefer at your churches, but I would have used this in a classroom and let kids color it and had it ready for worship time. And I would have actually let them sing and shout and jump up and down and, blow in these and run up and down the halls as a way to get that energy level out, but also to understand that Jesus does make us want to sing and shout and jump and all the things with our bodies, because some kids learn more with their bodies than they do just sitting and coloring something. So this is something that a child, no matter how they learn, could absolutely use and in their worship experience.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions that we need to address?
We had a couple of comments that are in the chat, but there were no questions. Cindy said that the resource packs are awesome. And Lisa said that this covers many valuable areas of administration and it takes the extra work out and makes it easy for the office.
Yay.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
I have a question.
All right.
The Sing and Shout, have I seen that before? Did you do that 3, 4, 5 years ago, maybe?
6. Yes, you are right. You have actually, no, 7. Okay. It was 2017, and it was a big favorite. Our customers were sad when it was gone, and so we thought that's a great opportunity to bring it back. Okay. So yes.
I'm not crazy. Thank you.
No. Thanks for asking.
That's yeah, that's good.
All right. So Jane, I'm going to turn it over to you then.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I think you can see why we're so excited to have Kim with us. All the wonderful ideas, and they just naturally flow out of her head. And I know that as we go forward in the Hive, I mean, obviously we'll continue to have these meetups, and I think that it's important for us to gather around a specific topic. But I think Kim has a lot of ideas for how to just to support you in everyday resources and to build more of a community outside of these meetups. So please continue to come back to the Hive and be lifted up and encouraged. We're very, very excited to be able to serve you. And we're always looking for new ways to do that. So it's a two-way street. We have ideas, but if there are things that you know of that you would find especially helpful, please don't hesitate to send us a note on that too. We would love to hear from you. For joining us today. We would love to thank you in a significant way. So if you would just drop me a comment so I make sure that I have your email addresses. Just tell me the thing that you like the best about today's meetup, and we will put 2,000 friends points into your account. And if you don't already have an account, we will reach out to you and get one set up for you. And friends points, for anybody who doesn't know, convert to cash at some point. So it's a way to thank you and help you get more resources for your little ones. And your not so little ones, I guess.
Yeah. And in the spirit of trying to support you the best way we can, we just would like to know if you have any way we can be praying for you. Drop that in the comments too. We are a praying team, and we would be honored to pray for you. And just before we leave, we would like to pray over all of you. As you're getting ready for Easter, you just came off your big Christmas and launching into Easter. We would love to pray with you and pray for you. And thank you for coming today. It's just been a joy to get to see your faces. And I hope that what you have seen today will support you as you plan for Easter. And don't forget, it's coming really early this year. So place those orders early. Yeah.
All right. Well, go ahead and pray for us, Kim. We would love to have you send us out.
Okay. So as I pray over kids and grown-ups too, I often tell them eyes open or eyes shut. Jesus hears our prayers no matter what. And I base that on the scripture that talks about you are to be praying constantly. And I always tell kids if moms and dads are praying while you're driving down the road, they shouldn't close their eyes because they might crash cars. But for you as kids, sometimes when you're in a system, like in a public school system or a school system that might not be supportive of prayer, it's okay to pray with your eyes open. If you're in a classroom situation and you need to take a test, or maybe you're at lunch and you want to bless your food. Also, the reason I like to pray with my eyes open is I like the Spirit to speak to me as I pray for people. So I always tell people, if that makes you comfortable, leave your eyes open. But if you prefer, close your eyes, that's fine too. So let's pray. Hey, Jesus, I thank you for these ladies and what they're pouring into kids and what they're pouring into families. And I ask that you would bless them. I ask them that you would give them wild creativity as they plan for their egg hunts, for their Easter celebrations, how to lead their families through the practice of Lent, especially those families that it might be something new to them. God, would you give them restoration and peace in their bodies as we are going through a season of germs, and they serve a whole bunch of little kids who carry a whole bunch of those little germs. And God, would you give them what they need in their finances, both personally and professionally, so that they can do the work that you've equipped them to do. God, I ask you to bless them. I ask you to keep them and make your face shine upon them and give them peace in Jesus' name. And we all said, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Kim, and thank you everyone for joining us. We will be back together in March. It'll be March 13th, Wednesday, March 13th. And that will be just a few days before St. Patrick's Day, which this year will be on a Sunday. So we've got all kinds of things happening in the month of March. When we gather next time, we'll have some really quick ideas of things you could do to mark that moment with your kids as you're in the midst of planning all the things for Easter. So we look forward to seeing you then. Have a great, great day.